I genuinely feel like Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, after the work they done tonight in the main event segment on Monday Night Raw, need to go into SummerSlam and win. They need to go into SummerSlam and win to help establish them, to help establish their group, to help establish Bron Breakker, to make meaning to all of the destruction they just caused on Monday Night Raw. They can't just go into SummerSlam and lose. What do you do when you lose the leader of your faction? Well, somebody has to step up. And on this past week, Monday Night Raw, we saw someone step up. Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker basically alluded early on in the show that he is the leader of this nameless faction, because we still don't have a name for it. But within this show, he showed leadership qualities, he showed motivating factors towards his group and members in his group in regards to Bronson Reed and getting him ready for his main event match. And then we saw him really take the step forward in the main event segment and, take charge over Roman Reigns of all people. Now, we had the main event segment. The main event was Jey Uso versus Bronson Reed. According to Wrestling Observer, this apparently was supposed to be the SummerSlam match, which I don't know how much interest this would have garnered as a SummerSlam match, but I'm happy we got it just on Raw. Although it wasn't much of a match. We saw that fairly, midway into this match, Bronson Reed needed the assistance of Bron Breakker, and Bron Breakker came out and he wrecked shop. Now, following Bron Breakker coming out wrecking shop, Roman Reigns came out to take the side of Jey Uso, because at SummerSlam it's going to be Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. So of course Roman Reigns comes to take the side of his cousin, take the side of his tag team partner at SummerSlam. However, it all started off well for the two of them, but Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed just went into a killer kind of mode. They absolutely annihilated these guys within the ring, outside the ring, with some double spears around the ring. Roman Reigns got taken over the announcer's table with that kind of clothesline move that Bron Breakker does from the apron. He then gave him a double spear through the barricade. He even cut the Roman Reigns promo when Roman Reigns was going up against Brock Lesnar just before WrestleMania 38, where Roman Reigns said, "This is my camera, these are my fans," all of that kind of stuff. Bron Breakker done something very, very similar. He said that this is my cameraman, it's my ring, these are my people, they're my dogs, they bark for me. He called the people of Detroit fat asses and stuff. He really went to town. He really stood up and was counted. He really really dominated the segment, and I think this was a really good showing for Bron Breakker. Now, it's no surprise to any of us that Bron Breakker is being positioned how he is. I think I said a couple of weeks ago, I think this is an accelerated push. I think this push was always meant to come, but because Seth Rollins is quote unquote injured, this has probably come earlier than expected. But he's stepping into it and he's doing a good job, and he's looking like, this kind of main eventer that WWE see for him in the future. I think 100% he's looking like he is, owning this part. Now, we all know it's written in wrestling lore that if you stand tall on the go home show, or you get a win on the go home show, it doesn't look like at the pay-per-view or at the PLE you are going to win your match. Yeah, we have seen this on so many occasions, and there has been a couple of occasions where that myth has been put to bed. However, for the majority of the time, if you stand tall or win on the go-home show, you are not winning on PLE, at the pay-per-view, at SummerSlam. So that kind of makes me a bit scared for Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. And of course, they're up against two beloved members of the roster in Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, who you would imagine now are going to get the win at SummerSlam. But I have to say, WWE, you have to change the script. You have to change the script, because we are watching the ascent of a group that has not come out of the blocks, all guns firing and everything. It has been a slow ascent to this point. You really put on a really good segment at the end of Monday Night Raw to put over Bron Breakker, to put over Bronson Reed. So to undo that work now for Jey Uso, who we all know is less than main event, and Roman Reigns, who could get a win on SummerSlam, but then just disappear for a couple of months. I genuinely feel like Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, after the work they done tonight in the main event segment on Monday Night Raw, need to go into SummerSlam and win. They need to go into SummerSlam and win to help establish them, to help establish their group, to help establish Bron Breakker, to, make meaning to all of the destruction they just caused on Monday Night Raw. They can't just go into SummerSlam and lose. But yet, they're the ones that are always going to be on Raw week in, week out. Roman Reigns can lose, and he can go and shoot Street Fighter, and then he can come back for Survivor Series. Jey Uso can lose, and nobody will blink an eye, because, respectfully, that's what Jey Uso does. He loses, and we yeet. You see what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, Bron Breakker needs a sustained push. If that's what you're doing, he doesn't need to lose here. And of course, you might just say, okay, well, pin Bronson Reed. They don't need it as a group. They don't need it. Roman Reigns, yes, you could say that Bron Breakker can lose to Roman Reigns. There's no harm in that. But is there really harm in Roman Reigns losing either? Let's invest in these guys that are going to be there week to week, and you want to make some meaning of their group, of their faction. They need the win. They absolutely need the win. And more than anything for me, they need the win if Seth Rollins really is injured. If Seth Rollins really is injured and he isn't going to be anywhere near SummerSlam, then they need the win. If Roman Reigns and Jey Uso do get the win on SummerSlam, then to be honest, for the sake of the group, I'm expecting a Seth Rollins cash-in. I'm expecting that group to still end SummerSlam on whatever night, standing tall with a world title in tow, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed flanking Seth Rollins. That's the only way that, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso should win, is if Seth Rollins is going to walk out of SummerSlam weekend with the world title, whichever world title. I just don't think that they should lose. There's a possibility that they win their match and Seth Rollins still walks out with the world title. I think that would be a tremendous outcome, but, you can't overbook them all of a sudden. Let's not do 50-50 booking. If we're going to book Bron Breakker as this badass, this new dog that runs the yard and all of this kind of stuff, right? Let's be consistent with it. Like, he has to beat some of the best. He has to beat Roman Reigns right here on this occasion. Like, it just has to happen for me personally. Like, because we can't send these guys back to Raw next week with their tails in between their legs, no leader in Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns isn't in sight. Now it's like they have to start again. You see what I mean? So WWE, they need to break the mold here. They need to do the necessary to get this group over, to get Bron Breakker over, to get Bronson Reed over. And I think this is it. I think you rip up the script. I think you rip up what wrestling fans know. And the stand tall math at the end of the go home show doesn't stand true on this occasion. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker need to go into SummerSlam and beat Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and solidify themselves as the biggest threat on Monday Night Raw, awaiting their true leader's return and what that may even look like. Because if they beat Roman Reigns here and their destruction continues, by the time Seth Rollins is back, Bron Breakker's going to have a real chip on his shoulder. You can't just walk in here and take back leadership. Look at all the work I've done. I really feel like, this character arc and character development that Bron Breakker's going through right now, let's not just put it in the toaster because Roman Reigns is back for one match. I honestly feel like we've gotten to a point with Roman Reigns where the wins and losses don't really mean much. He had a fantastic performance at WrestleMania in a triple threat match, and he was pinned by Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins has put together this group. He sees this group as the future. Bron Breakker's in this group. Let them continue the work that Seth Rollins started at WrestleMania. These two should not lose. And if they do lose, like I said, I expect Seth Rollins to, at some point over the weekend, come out with the Money in the Bank briefcase and cash in. And he walks out as world champion with Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed flanking him either side, with, of course, the Oracle, Paul Heyman, in tow as well. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments as well. Who should get the win at SummerSlam? Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, or Roman Reigns and Jey Uso? If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new here as well. WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I'll see you soon.